Hello, welcome to this video about HB Modeling Bundle version 2.2. In this video I'm gonna show you the new stuff I have added in this update and also where you can find it and how to use it. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, first let's talk about the layout. Here on the top left I have added some render workflow scripts, and here on the right I have added also some new modeling tools. Also, you can now choose a compact layout. Now you will find all the tools here on the top, and they are grouped, so you can see here, for example, the modeling tools or symmetry tools. So that way not so much of your layout gets filled with icons. Also, you can add these palettes to your existing layout. So if you have a custom layout and you want to add this palette, you can do this too. And they are included in the install files. With this update, I also included a new template scene. So anytime you open Cinema 4D or create a new file, it will open this document where you can find some stuff in the HUD. For example, you can see here you can change the render settings, and also I've included some render settings. So if you open this, you will see a master setting, and here are 3 settings childed. So any change you make to the master setting will get inherited to the children here. So if you, for example, change resolution or frame range, you do this in the master settings, and you use sketch, draft, and best just to render out with different quality settings. For example, if you go to options, you see sketch and draft and best have different ray threshold. And if you go to global illumination options, you will see this glass mirror optimization is different. So some of these settings, which are connected to render speed and quality, are here preset. But overall, you make all your settings here in the master settings and only choose which of these you want to render. Okay, also you have here in the HUD, if you hover here on the top, you will see this pop up where you can change render settings right in the HUD. And these are the most important settings for render speed control. So you can disable subsurface scattering or subpoly displacement and so on. Just check this out and you will find it really handy to quickly change something if you want a quick preview. And also you can change your take and your camera here. I've also improved some of the existing scripts. So for example, override material will work like before. It will override all materials with a nice Modo-like material. And this is really good for modeling and viewing your normals, because as you can see here, the back sides of the faces are darker. So if you have any flipped normals, you will see this right in the viewport. And now I have added also a UV check texture. So if you shift click on the script, it will use a UV pattern, so you can check your UVs and see where you need to work. For example, here you see I have some stretched UVs and I should fix this properly. If you hold Alt and click on the script, it will reset to the original shading. I have also tweaked cleanup view, but only a little bit. I don't even remember what. So just works a little better. And fast viewport also has changed a little bit. So if you click on fast viewport, you will see in the old version it would also disable the textures. But now it won't disable the textures by default. It only disables if you hold, I think it was Alt, no, it was Control. So if you hold Control and click on the script, it will disable also the textures. And if you hold Shift like before, it will even disable all expressions. So you get really nice viewport improvement if you use this script, because it will make all the settings automatically. Let's talk about render workflow. So let's assume we have modeled and animated everything, and now it's time to render some test frames. So here's an animated camera, and now I want to see how this looks like. Normally, I guess you would save the file, put a output path here, and if you don't use tokens, which you should, this is a lot of work for each version you make. And now, if you're like me, I like to render with the render queue because you don't have to wait for each rendering, and you can just add as much as you want and it will render and render in the background, and you can keep working, and you don't have to wait till you can render the next version. So to make the process of the render queue much faster, I have added this send to render queue script. And let me just show you what this makes. So I have this frame, and first of all I will check this frame here in the viewport. I will just, to make this faster, disable subsurface scattering and decrease the radef to maybe 5 or 10. And now I enable the interactive render region, and it will really fast render with the default render settings here. It's quite fast. This is with GI, but without subsurface scattering. So now I can make the lighting a little better, and now I can shade roughly. But now it's time to make a really high-res and polished render. So I choose the best setting, enable subsurface scattering, and now I want to render out here with send to render queue. The first time you use this script, you need to set it up. So you hold Control and click on it, and this will open some dialogs for setting it up. First, if you use Team Render, in this case no, and then it will ask if you use global texture paths. And in this case I hit yes because I have set up everything globally. I recommend to use global paths for this because it will make it easier to organize the files in your folder structure. If you hit no, it also works if you have relative paths, but it will not make a nice folder structure like if you hit yes. Now it will ask you how many seconds per frame you want to render. As I have enabled subsurface scattering, which takes a lot of preparing time, I will add here like 60 seconds, 1 minute. And this feature only works if you have a progressive render mode. So as you can see now here in the physical settings, sampler set to progressive, then it will take this time limit option and set it to 1 minute. So now if I hit send to render queue, I will open the render queue, and here you see that your frame is already rendering. And it also has created a new file and named it incrementally. And if you look at your Finder, you can see that in your project file it has created this folder HB results with a subfolder stills. It will also create another folder for animations. So now it's rendering this scene. I don't have to wait now. I can just choose to render out a little animation preview while it's rendering the first full frame. To do this, I can just hold Shift, and if you hold Shift and render, it will render the whole preview range. And if you hold Alt, it will render in half resolution. So for my animation preview, I want to disable subsurface scattering, want to choose here sketch setting, and let me just set this up again and say I want to render only 10 seconds per frame, or maybe even 5. Let's do 5 seconds per frame. And now I hold Shift and Alt and click on the script. And now, because I hold Shift and Alt, it has created a sequence. And this will now render after the first frame is finished. The sequence will render all frames, and each frame renders only 10 seconds. So this is pretty nice. So now we can already check the first still image. So this is our quick result. And it's not the final quality, but you can see the shading and lighting quite good and can consider it good, and you can even increase the settings to get a final result. So, and while this one is rendering, I want to show you another script, and this is for making some focusing on areas in your scene. So this HB zoom camera, if you enable it, it will tell you that you look through a zoom camera now. And if you look at your scene, here you see a second camera underneath your scene camera. And with this camera enabled, you can now use the magnify film tool and the film move tool to focus on only one area of your scene. So let's do simple settings, yes, and use interactive render region to just focus on this, or maybe only the eye. So you can, even with interactive render region, you can use this. And now if you want to go back to your scene camera, you hit the script again, and that will reset your camera to the original framing. So this is zoom camera, and this is quite handy. For example, now I want to check the subsurface scattering of the cheese. I can now zoom into this area and just send this frame to the render queue. But this time maybe I want to render 1 minute, because subsurface scattering is again taking. Okay, so these are the render workflow scripts, and let's keep going with the new modeling scripts. Okay, let's talk about HB Make Quads. Here in this menu you will find this brand new script. It's called HB Make Quads, and it was originally only designed to close cylinder caps, for example. So if you have an open cylinder and you want to close this, You can select the boundary edges and now press on the script. And this will close the gap here, the cap. And all these are quad polygons. So this is working perfectly fine. Also, you can convert these triangles, this typical triangle closing here. So you just select the polygons here and run the script. And this will also close everything with quads. If you want to direct the direction of the quad strip here, you can, let me undo this. You can select one point of the boundary and that will define the direction the quads will go. So this point was selected, so now these quads go to this point. The script also works with messed up topology which you want to fix. So if you have some areas in your mesh, small areas with bad topology, you can also select this area and run this make quads. And in this case you see the flow of the edges is wrong. So let me undo. What you have to do is to select one point to define the direction the quads should have. So if you select this point, the result is fine. You see this is not reassembling the cylinder shape because if you look at this topology, it matches the topology that you had. I didn't mean to say topology, more the shape. So it matches the shape but changes the topology. So if you have a messed up shape, that won't fix this. But normally I model and make a good shape and then I figure out for animation the topology doesn't work and I need quads. So in this case, this is really handy to fix this part. You see this different shading is because I have here a selection tag that's not supposed to be there. And also this works with n-gones like this. If you have an extrude knob, convert it, and let me just connect and delete. So now if you select this cap, let's try. This will give you an error message because the script does not work if you have selected border polygons which are not connected to anything. So the cap by default here is not connected to the mesh. So first you need to make a optimize command. So now I have optimized the mesh and now it should work. Yes. Alternatively, you could first inner extrude this and now it also works. I want to talk about limitations also because this doesn't work always. So for example, if you have a really complex shape like this one and you want to close this area, that won't work. Let me just do this, connect and delete. Do optimize and let's select this n-gone here. So if I run make quads, it will try to close this area, but it won't really work. As you can see, this doesn't work. So keep this in mind. It's more meant for areas like this, like cylinder shapes or not too complex shapes. Keep this in mind. Also, as this currently, I would call it a limitation bug, I don't know. In some cases, for example here this sphere, and I select this top area, I run the script, you will see that some points snap to the other side of the object. And this is due to a bug I'm not able to fix at the moment. But there's some workarounds. For example, you can just select a little more, you make a crow selection, and now it works, for example. Or if you have a flat shape and this happens, you can also convert your selection to an n-gone by dissolving it. In this case, it will flatten the sphere, but then it would also work. Let me just try this on a plane. You can see sometimes it's also working really great for bigger meshes. Let's subdivide this and let's convert it. So what you can do now, I will just select some polygons like that and delete them. And now with the loop selection in select boundary loop, I can just select these edges here and run make quads. And now you have these problems here. But in this case, I can just close the selection and run the HB relax to relax this area of the mesh. Now you have something quite usable in some cases. Maybe you want to retopologize a scan with only triangles and you want one area with only quads, and this could fix some areas of your scanned data or something like that. So make quads is really useful in many cases, but keep in mind it has limitations. Now I want to show you clip symmetry. So here you can find clip symmetry and convert symmetry. Let's create a cube, make it larger in this direction, and now I hit clip symmetry and that will make a little setup here. And now you can just rotate and move this object and you can see everything on negative x-axis will get clipped away. That way you can make interesting shapes, and if you select this object and convert, it will be one polygonal object again. And anything that's here in the inside will get deleted, so you have a clean topology which you can subdivide and it's smooth. And you can also do this again and just move it, select the symmetry, convert it, do it again, rotate it, move it. So you see you can do some interesting shapes, which is quite fun to play with. So you have something like this, really fast. So this is inviting to play a little bit. But this is also really practical for stuff like buildings. If you have made some buildings and you want to make some variations of these buildings, you can easily do this. So let's try this one. Make a clip symmetry, and you can do a version like this. Let's do another version where I will rotate the axis of the object, because now the symmetry will be in this direction. So if you want to change the direction of the symmetry, you can just rotate the axis. Let's do something like this. convert. So you can easily make some different versions of an object, like buildings is perfect. Let's do a version of this one. Oops, you have to, if you want to use convert, you have to select the symmetry object. It won't work if you have selected another object. So select it and convert. Let's do this one. Let's just rotate it so you can get a really different shape from the sorry, let's do it again. Copy it first. Convert it. Make another symmetry. You see? Very interesting variations. Oops. And that way you can really quickly populate a whole city with versions of your houses. Without modeling too much, you can make a lot of models really quickly. Okay, so this is everything I have to show. I hope you will enjoy this free update for HB Modeling Bundle. Have fun modeling and see you next time. Bye bye.